Hello everybody! This is my scene-by-scene analysis of all of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim E3 footage that was available to the public as of June the 7th. I merged all of the footage together and I'm going to analyze it scene by scene and even frame by frame if I have to. Todd Howard narrated a lot of the footage, but he missed over half of everything in the video, so that's why I'm going to analyze it. Okay, here we go. And welcome to Skyrim. It looks like this first scene takes place in what could be the region called Rift. I don't know for sure, and it's very hard to ascertain based on the setting here, but take a look at the map really quick. The map of Skyrim, as we know it so far, there's a region in the lower right here called Rift, and based on the geography and the topography of what we were seeing in that first scene, it's probably this area right here. Okay, let's go back to the footage. So as we start traveling down this path, you get an idea of the great attention to detail. Not just distant detail, but also micro detail. So I paused at this fern, and take a look at that plant. That fern has leaves that rustle, but also, if it were higher resolution, you'd be able to see it in the video. There are veins in every one of the leaves. You can actually see those too. And you can even see light shining through the leaves because most foliage will have alpha channels associated with them, which will let a certain amount of sunlight through. So all those leaves will be translucent. And by the way, now you're seeing a clip from the G4 TV's interview with Todd Howard. It's a little bit different than Spike TV's interview the day before, and so I added this extra footage in and spliced it together. One location I forgot to mention that was to our right that we saw just a little while ago was the Throat of the World, which is the highest peak in Skyrim, and you can climb it. It's like 7,000 steps to the top. And then directly ahead is a dungeon that happens early on in the game called Bleak Falls Barrow, and it's at the top of a smaller peak. I don't know what the name of that mountain is though. And now Todd is just showing us how you use a sword and a shield together. And take a look at that. Wildlife. That was a bunny and a wolf chasing it. And there's High Hrothgar again directly ahead. And we're in the first person point of view now. We were in third person earlier, just to kind of show you the different modes. And now they're showing off the spell system and how you can single wield or dual wield spells. And it's the same spell in both hands now. And see, if you use it together, then you can build a more powerful spell. Okay, now we're approaching Guardian Stones. It's a new type of stone in Skyrim, but it's vaguely familiar. Oblivion had Doomstones and Runestones, and there were different types of each. But these Guardian Stones grant a particular power, and apparently you can only wield one power at a time, but they grant you the power permanently until you replace it with another Guardian Stone power. And here's our first battle. These are two types of wolves. That brown wolf you just saw, the name started with an ALG type of wolf, but I couldn't make out that word. These are regular wolves, and the hero just hacked and slashed both of them. And now Todd shows us the inventory system. The inventory is all 3D, and you can rotate and pan around and look at everything. You can even zoom in like he's doing right now. It's much easier to sort. You can also favorite items. Yeah, look at all this food. The level of detail is just amazing. So there's regular salmon meat, there's salmon steak, and this is my favorite, sweet roll. And Nirnroot is back in 3D. And now we get to see the skill system. There are 18 skills in the game. Classes and attributes are gone, but skills now have perk trees. Every time you gain a level, you get a perk, and those are represented by Constellations, which you see right here. And now I'm going to slow the video down so you can see the main navigation system. There's 4 points on a compass, and there's skills, items, map, and magic, and that's how you navigate in the game. And now you get to see the map system. It's a 3D map now, and you can pull back or zoom in, and you can see all the waypoints on the map that way. So we're approaching our first town. It's called Riverwood, and I'll show you where it is on the map. Riverwood is right here, and I did mention it's a town. It's not one of the 5 big cities in Skyrim, it's just one of the smaller towns. And now we're passing under what looks like a covered bridge, and we finally get to see the townsfolk for the first time. And they're busy going about their day-to-day activities instead of just standing around watching you stroll through town. And here's our first NPC interaction. You can see that he's going about his business as we're talking to him. He's a weaponsmith, and by the way, you can partake in those activities as a weaponsmith. We'll see a woodcutter in a second. You can also become a woodcutter. You could even interact with this particular business that this woodcutter has. And here's another big reveal. Horses are back in the game, and you can use horses to seriously cut down on the time you have to spend traveling cross country if you haven't discovered a location yet. However, fast travel is back, which makes, once you've discovered locations, you don't necessarily need to use a horse to ride all the way to the ruin or the top of a mountain once you've discovered it. And by the way, I muted both clips when I merged them because there's a lot of background noise and it's kind of distracting, and you can't hear much of the original game anyway. As we travel up this mountain path with the horse, you can see he's got two different speeds. He can gallop or he can sprint. And you'll also see how he transitioned into a new weather system. This is snow, and it accumulates over time. You won't get to see it here, but if you spend enough time in one place, you'll see it accumulate. I slowed down the video again so we can see a good shot of the Throat of the World, which is again the highest peak in Skyrim. That's it, right in front of our character. And now we get to take a look at the first dungeon. The dungeon is called Bleak Falls Barrow, and I'll show you where it is on the map. Here it is. Bleak Falls Barrow is right here, which is just slightly to the west of Riverwood, which is the town we were just in. So anyway, as we approach these ruins, take a look at the detail. There's no two ruins that will be alike, and there won't be any two dungeons alike. Take a look at that statue of a dragon at the It's not a statue, it's a real dragon. So this is the first glimpse at a dragon fight. So the HUD doesn't really make a distinction what kind of dragon this is. It just says dragon. And you'll see it land in a second. There it is. And then you'll see the character pump the poor dragon full of arrows. And apparently it's too much for the character to handle, so he's going to enter the dungeon. And here's our first look at the interior of a dungeon. And take a look at that dynamic lighting. Now we get to see the first stealth kill. Our character's in stealth mode. You can tell by looking at him he's crouching, but I can't really see anything on screen that indicates that we're in stealth mode. So he's equipped a bow and arrow, and he's going to draw it and then shoot this first bandit marauder, and then the second bandit marauder doesn't know where the arrow came from, and he's dead too. Now, next we'll see a dual sword style of fighting, because you can put whatever you want into either hand. And you also see that heavy armor just increased to 16. That's a skill that increased. You don't increase your skills by leveling up. You increase them just by performing the actions associated with that skill. And there's the first kill move, or kill animation. And the clutter is back. See all the clutter all over the floor? And oh, now these are like rats, but they're called Skeevers, and he used a spell to eliminate them. And then this is just an NPC that's part of a quest. Once you could either free him or kill him. In this particular instance, he runs away. These are semi-scripted, but you can do whatever you want with these quests. And it looks like Todd's character is going to wind up backstabbing the guy and killing him with another kill move. It's just amazing how vast these dungeons are. Okay, so now we've got another monster called the Draugrs. These are Draugr wights, and it looks like Todd is just using a variety of different spells and parries, and it looks like an area of effect spell, and oh, that was interesting. And now he's fighting Draugr Scourge, and it looks like he just used some kind of turn undead spell, because now they're all running away. Very interesting. Okay, now we get to see one of the many traps in the game, Pendulums. And he just used a dragon shout, by the way. It was Whirlwind Sprint, and I'll tell you more about dragon shouts in a second. And now he's wielding a lightning spell. He's going to use another dragon shout in 1 second here. In fact, he's going to dual wield the lightning right now, and then he's going to slow time, and that's another dragon shout. And look at that. Then he uses the lightning in conjunction with that shout. So now we're going to learn how to use a staff, and this particular staff shoots a bolt of light, and then you can see the dynamic lighting and how it interacts with the environment. Then you can also see an underground stream or a creek, and that's a nice little feature in these dungeons. More dynamic lighting. And he's fighting another Draugr Wight, this time with a fireball spell. And now this next room is important because it contains a word wall, and I'll explain those in a second. You saw those bats, here's a bridge, very richly detailed, and there's running water. We've got underground waterfalls all over the place. Okay, this word wall is where you learn dragon shouts, or words that become dragon shouts after a while. You don't just automatically gain the skill though, you actually have to learn the word, then you have to kill a dragon to unlock the power of the word. And now we get to see a fight with a dragon priest, and then watch what happens. The dragon priest summons a frost Atronach, and this is a Daedric elemental that he's summoned. And this is one of the more difficult elementals to defeat. And it's usually best to defeat the priest first, and then the Daedric elemental will go away. And then Todd shows us another one of the over 100 spells called Clairvoyance, and it essentially just lights a path to your objective. And it functions just like an objective radar from Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. And we're back outside, and this is the tundra near the center of the map, and just take a look at the cloud patterns and take a look at the lake effect. It's just amazing. This particular city that you see before us is called Whiterun, and I'll show you where it is on the map. This is it right there, and Whiterun is one of the 5 major cities in Skyrim, and this entire region around it is also called the Whiterun region. And we get our first glimpse at mammoths and the first glimpse at the giants, who are generally neutral unless you attack them. Now, by the way, the draw distances of the grass isn't all that impressive, but I'm sure you can tweak that, especially if you're using a PC. And now you get a close-up of the textures on the mammoth, and then Todd's character wields a mace. I don't know exactly what kind of mace this is, but he decides to start attacking the mammoth, and of course the giant attacks with his huge stone club, and now he's going to use a dragon shout, like a fire breath, or I like to call it dragon breath. There, see? And that could be more effective against the larger enemies like this. And right there you see an unscripted attack by a dragon, thanks to the Radiant story engine. And you can see how the dragon behaves in different ways, and it's just purely based on what's happening around him and the environment, and that's how Radiant story works. And there you can see how it lands, and then it's going to turn around and breathe fire on that poor guard. And if you notice, you can actually go up and talk to the guard, but I don't think he would say much because the dragon just picked him up and threw him. And this is the last sequence, hitting a dragon just before he dies. And the guards are helping the character fight this dragon. And right there he dies. And this is where you absorb the soul of a dragon. And by absorbing the soul of a dragon, that's where you learn to unlock the dragon shout words that you've learned at those word walls in dungeons. And you might have noticed that there was another dragon in the vicinity right when we killed the first one, and that is a frost dragon, and we'll see how this battle unfolds. This particular dragon is even more difficult to kill than that standard dragon that we just saw slain a little while ago. So the character is going to use another dragon shout, which is a storm call, and that's it right there. And it just summons a storm which can cause lightning damage to your enemy, and then coming up in a few seconds, it's one of my favorite characteristics of dragon battles. If you injure a dragon enough, then he or she will either land or he'll wind up crashing to the ground, and that's exactly what you see here. So now he can no longer fly, so it's a ground battle from this point. Now, like I mentioned, this is a frost dragon, and I honestly don't know how many different types of dragons exist in the game, but we'll find out soon enough. Now, you're going to see a kill move in just a second, and I think the kill moves when dealing with dragons are the coolest kill moves in the game. Here it goes. And that's the end of that one. And that concludes all of the footage released at E3. And thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and comment and share it with your friends. Thank you so much.